First deal, went out, walked the property, did everything, got the property under contract, right? Was thinking I was going to hit a home run. Got the property under contract for the ARV.
Ouch.
Right. And I sent this out to all of these different buyers that I had slowly but surely built up on a buyer's list. And the people were like, dude, you're crazy. What are you doing? This is not a deal. You need to stop, give up. And right, that played with my mindset because I was like, man, you know what? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I don't need to do this. And lo and behold, one of the guys pulled me in. They was like, you're not doing it right. Let me show you how to do it. So one of the things that I always tell people from that story is, you know what? You're out there, you're looking for a mentor. You got to bring something to the table. Even if it's possibly the wrong thing, somebody will see that you're putting the work into it, you're putting the action into it, and they'll help guide you along your journey. So lo and behold, naturally that wasn't a deal, but the guy that I worked with going forward, we started doing, I think the first year we were doing 40 deals, then 60 deals, and so on and so forth.
Welcome to another episode of the Wholesale Elite Podcast. I am Isham and I'm joined by my dude, Mr. Tanner Santucci. What up, bro?
What's up, dude? Let's have a good one.
Let's get, and I have a funny feeling we will, guys. After knowing what I know about the guest now, I'm super excited to bring this gentleman to the Wholesale Elite fam. And so, guys, look, if you're looking on the screen right now, there may be a gentleman that you may not be too familiar with, because he's a person who's not a part of essentially the Astro ecosystem. But this guy is a monster when it comes to real estate investing, and specifically helps big time with wholesaling and also the fix and flip side of the house. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to I want to introduce every single person who hasn't met him yet to Mr. Marcus Maloney. Marcus, what's up, sir?
What's up, Isham? What's up, Tanner? Thank you guys for having me on the show, man. Appreciate
it. Absolutely, man. It's our honor to have you on. We've been trying to get you on for a little bit, and we got you. We had to work with your awesome assistant. She was phenomenal, by the way. I don't know where you find these people, but she was on top of it. She knows her stuff. So shout out to your assistant. Absolutely.
Thank you, Jade. I'm a big believer, man, and making sure I had systems in place because I don't want to work, man. So by not working, I make sure I have other people do the work for me, and it costs me a little bit, but guess what? I get to do things like this, be on the show with you guys, and don't have to worry about the minutia of the admin part of it. I can just jump on here, have fun with you guys today.
Oh man. We look forward to having that in our business. Tanner and I, we're partners, and we're somewhat new, into the arena. And so we're still at that beginning growth where our team's real small, but man, I look forward to really being able to leverage it. And so I'm going to lean in and probably ask you some stuff about that because I know you've got expertise in that. But what I also know is you are an expert at at doing things virtually. And so, guys, we're going to go hardcore into virtual wholesaling, and maybe not a lot of tips and strategies and whatnot, but just mindset around what it takes to be an effective virtual investor. And so I'm excited to dive into that. But before we get into the nuts and bolts, Marcus, a lot of people may not be familiar with you. So I'd love to go back and learn a little bit about you and your story. And then I'll probably dig in some more, and hopefully I won't make you cry, but I want to learn your origin story, bro. I want to learn more about you. Like this successful real estate entrepreneur that I have on my screen in front of me. How'd you get here? So start us off.
Man, let me tell you, I'm gonna go to the roots, to the foundation, man.
Yes.
So I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, just south of Chicago. And what I always like to say is I had the best of both worlds. I had the rural aspect and I had the city. My grandfather, he was from Mississippi, came up, migrated to Illinois, to Chicago. And he was a farm boy, and he grew up, had us to grow up as farm boys. So one of the things that kids always did was, they wanted to be fresh and clean when they get ready to go back to school, right? They wanted to have that fresh new outfit, fresh new kicks, everything like that. Well, for us, we had to earn that. So it wasn't just, all right, mom, show up, let's go school shopping. We had to invest for our school clothes. So one of the
Wow.
things that we had to do was we had to flip pigs. Yes, piglets, man, ham, bacon, all of that kind of stuff. So we would go to the auction in this rural town called Moments. We would go to the auction and we would buy piglets, 10, 15 bucks. They were about 5 or 6 pounds, and we had them over the summer. And me, my cousins, my brother, we had to stuff our pigs as fat as we can get them, because at the end of August, at the end of summer, we would take them back to the auction. So we would spend about $10, $15 on this piglet. And then by the end of the summer, they would be fat, and we would get, $200 to $300 for this piglet. So we learned at an early age how to buy low and sell high. So
flipping pigs.
Yeah,
that's new.
That's awesome. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. That's good.
So that was my origin to get me to understand, the whole process of money, how to buy low and sell high. And then after that, my mom, she's was an entrepreneur. She had a great job with the state of Illinois. She left that job, just walked off that job. She said she wanted to start her own business, and that's what she did. And we still have that family business to today. But one of the things that she did was she had bought 2 houses. One was a fire damaged house, and one was this old raggedy rental that she had bought. Me and my brother, we looked at her. We said, "What the heck are you doing?" I was 13. No, I was about 11, 12 at the time. My brother was like 14, 15. Only thing that we saw was work, right? Because we knew that we was going to have to be the one clean this stuff out, all of that, right? But at the end of the day, she went in and she fixed and flipped these properties. Now, this was back in the late 80s. So before fix and flipping was a thing, was a word or anything like that, she went in there, rehab the property, sold one, and then the other one we still hold today as a rental. So she was ahead of the game. And what I realized was she brought that check from the one that she flipped and showed us, and we was like, wow, you did that in a few months. So that really got us kind of itching, into the real estate. So those are 2 origin stories, right? Now, the third, and this is lastly, so I left Illinois and I moved to Arizona, and I was promised a job here in Arizona. Left the family business, said, I'm going to set out. I'm going to blaze my own path. I'm going to make my own way. And the job was rescinded after I got my wife and my 3 kids here to Arizona. So I was out here. Yes, I was getting a few dollars from the rentals back east, but I had to start all over. And I started all over with the $200 First Premier credit card. If anybody listening know anything about First Premier, that means you have terrible credit. The limit is only about $200, right?
Right.
So I got started with that, man. I learned, and this was 2012. I listened to Sean Terry, started writing down just direct mail letters, handwriting them, sending them out, and got a call on the first deal, went out, walked the property, did everything, got the property under contract, right? Was thinking I was going to hit a home run. Got the property under contract for the ARV.
Ouch.
Right. And I sent this out to all of these different buyers that I had slowly but surely built up on a buyer's list. And the people were like, dude, you're crazy. What are you doing? This is not a deal. You need to stop, give up. And right, that played with my mindset, because I was like, man, you know what? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I don't need to do this. And lo and behold, one of the guys pulled me in. They was like, you're not doing it right. Let me show you how to do it. So one of the things that I always tell people from that story is, you know what, you're out there, you're looking for a mentor, you got to bring something to the table. Even if it's possibly the wrong thing, somebody will see that you're putting the work into it, you're putting the action into it, and they'll help guide you along your journey. So lo and behold, naturally, that wasn't a deal, but the guy that I work with going forward, we started doing, I think the first year we were doing 40 deals, then 60 deals, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
So I know I gave you guys quite a bit, but just wanted to give my background and let everybody know exactly what I had to do in order to get to where I am. And I'm still a work in progress, man.
So this was what, 11 years ago. You sent your first direct mail piece. You said
Yep.
2012, and now you sent that direct mail piece, and you got a deal under contract. You locked it up too high. You kind of got the wind taken out of your sails at that point. What
Yep.
like why didn't you quit? Not that you should have quit or whatever, but I think, there's a lot of people that when they do come across a roadblock that seems almost impassable, like, gosh, I don't think I'm cut out for this. I'm intimidated. I'm out of my league. What am I doing buying properties? I don't even have $10 in my account. Like, who am I fooling? How did you mentally get over that hurdle?
You know what, man? There's power in persistence. So one of the things that I
Mm,
did to hold my own self accountable was Bigger Pockets. This was early on in Bigger Pockets start. I would just journal and I would just blog every day what I was doing. And it wasn't for the people that was, the readers on Bigger Pockets. It was
right.
actually for me. So I can go back and see, okay, what did I do today? Was today a successful day? And then how can I build on my success from yesterday on today and tomorrow going forward? So by doing that, man, it was just that power of persistence. I knew if I didn't give up, man, my dad, he's an immigrant from Panama. So he moved to the States with absolutely nothing. So I always look at him,
Ah,
as a model. I'm like, dude, if he can come here from another country, not speaking any English, and build a family and help my mom build a business, I can do this with a few houses. So it was just that
right.
power of persistence.
Wow, that's powerful. And so you said that in your journey, you were journaling essentially with Bigger Pocket. You were actually writing your daily stuff online, like you were posting it.
Yep, every day.
Wow. Now, were
What did,
you doing that? I'm so sorry, Tanner. Go ahead,
no,
dude.
no, no. I was just going to ask what were you journaling? Like what kind of things were you keeping track of?
Dude, I was keeping track of all of my successes and my failures. So if I sent out, 20 mail pieces, hey, you know what? I sent out 20 mail pieces today, and I was just being transparent. I'm not sure if these mail pieces are gonna hit where they're supposed to go. I don't know if the verbiage I have on them are right, but guess what? I'm gonna let you guys know, in a week if I get any response from anybody. And that was before, direct mail was really, really big. So I could
Right.
send out, 50, 100 pieces, and I would get some responses. So once I got those responses, then I would journal and tell people how the conversations went, where I messed up on the conversations, what I did good with the conversation. So it was just letting people know that, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, let's not know together, but let's just start
Absolutely.
making a way.
I
Yep.
love it.
Absolutely. Dude, I love that. I think that's so powerful. And, you named it. You said there's power in persistence. But, not only persistence, you threw yourself into an uncomfortable situation. I don't think most people would have reached out to the number one real estate forum and said, "Hey, I'm getting started, and I'm gonna use you guys as my accountability partners. I'm
Yep.
going to start journaling here." That's a pretty scary thing to do. Where did that come from? Have you always been that way to where you just kind of throw yourself into things, or did you acquire that over time?
You know what? I'm a do or die guy, man. I'm either I'm gonna go hard and do it all the way, or I'm not gonna do it at all. Um, I have an addictive personality, and I'm addicted to accomplishing things that I set out to do. So if I write something on a piece of paper, I'm going to make sure I do that. I'm a trustworthy person. So, and I'm a loyal person. So I say, you know what? The first person to be loyal to is to myself, outside of God. I'm loyal to myself. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to hold myself accountable to make sure I get it done. So, but on the back end, that's hard for me to work with some people
Right.
because I'm loyal. I'm expecting reciprocity, and they may not be as loyal. So a lot of times my partnerships don't work out, but I have to honor that and understand that hey, I may be a little bit more loyal than this next person. So sometimes I have to be reserved and
Sure.
pull myself back.
That's really good insight. Let me ask that because it kind of begs the question. Because I know, and I'm sure we'll get to this later, but I know that you've got students, you've got a gang of people that you've brought up and shown how to do this, and I'm quite sure that not all your students have that go-getter personality like you do. You know what I mean? Where they're just all in and they're ready to go get it. So to a person that has that personality, because, you know, a lot of times we hear stories from successful people and we try to relate, but we can't. And we think, oh, it's because I'm not like them, you know? So for the people that don't have that just go-getter, that killer mentality, what do they need to know or understand in order to get to the same levels of success that you've gotten to?
You know what? The main thing is just to be honest with themselves. You know, if they know that they're not going to work, you know, 15, 20 hours or, you know, 12 hours a day, just be honest with yourself and say, you know what? That's just not me. I'm not cut like Marcus. I'm not cut from the same cloth, but I know that I can do 6 hours consistently. So what I always tell our students is you got a time block. You got a time block. And once you understand, okay, these are the 3 most important things that I want to get done today. As long as I get these 3 things done today, my day was a success. No matter if it took me 3 hours, if it took me 6 hours, or if it took me an hour. As long as I get these high priority tasks done, then my day was a success. Because what we tend to do as entrepreneurs is we always tend to go on to the next thing. All right, I got this done. What's next? All right, what's next? We used to just checking things off, and we gauge our level of success by how many things we check off. But sometimes, what do we always do? We start with the easiest things first, right? And then that way we look back and we be like, yeah, we got 20 things done today, but they're all, you know, minuscule things. But if you work on those first 3 things, the hardest things first, and you get those done, now you can look back and say, okay, you know what? I only worked 3 hours today, but the most important things I wanted to get done, I got done. So my day was actually a success.
Wow. Oh, that's so good. And thank you for that reminder, man. Cause I would like to say maybe like a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, I suffer from ADHD or ADD or whatever it's called. And, you know, Tanner and I were just talking not too long ago about how, man, I really need to get better at time blocking, you know, admittedly. And to hear you say that, you know, sometimes there's a saying that I heard a long time ago, and I love this. I'll throw it out your way. And I know this interview is 100% about you, but I just want to share this. You know, the riddle was, what do you brush your teeth with, wash your face with, and comb your hair with? And people will sit and like just really think about that. They're like, what do you brush your teeth with, wash your hair with, and wash your face with and comb your hair with? And you're like, okay, you know, you try to think of all these different scenarios and solutions. And it's like, well, you brush your teeth with a toothbrush, you wash your face with a washcloth, and you comb your hair with a comb. The answer is so simple. It's right in front of you a lot of times, but our natural brain is our instinct is to overcomplicate. It's got to be harder than this, you know, there's got to be more to it. And so when you say just to keep things simple, I heard that, and I feel like I believed it finally, because I always have this feeling that like 3 things, you know, I've heard so many people say, just have a top 3 list, do these 3 things today and you're good. And I'm like, as an entrepreneur, I'm like, I feel like I need way more than 3. And so I write down this list of 12 and I only end up doing 3 and I feel terrible about myself. And so, you know, why don't you just, you know, designate the 3 right up front, the most important things. And if those get done, then your day's a success. Everything else is cherry. So thank you for that nugget, man. That's huge.
Well, you know what I do, and I do suffer from that. You know, you have a list of 12, 20 things that you want to do. So on Sunday evenings, you know, about 5 or 6 o'clock, I sit down, not just taking half an hour, and I grab a notepad or my iPad and I jot down all of the things that I want to get done for the week, right? It could be 20 things. Now I prioritize those things. What are the top 3? What are, you know, 4 through 7? What's 8 through 10? You know, what's 11 through 14 or 11 through 15 that I want to get done. And then I set up, okay, my 1 through 3, Monday, these are my 3 rocks that I want to get done. You know, 4 through 7, Tuesday, these are the 3 things that I want to get done. So I'm actually getting all 12 of them done, but they're just being done over the week. And what we do as entrepreneurs, we jot down 12 things and we like, you know what, I got to get all 12 done.
They're all priority.
You know? You know, and then you find yourself scrambling. And then at the end of the day, you feel like, what? I didn't get anything done.
Man.
So by time blocking and prioritization, you'll have a much more rewarding day and week, as a real estate investor.
Absolutely. Well, we're definitely going to pivot into the virtual, because I really want to kind of pick your brain on that. But before, I want to ask you one quick question. What doubts did you face while building your real estate career, and how did you overcome them?
Dude, if you guys are listening at the podcast, but if you're watching it on YouTube, I'm shaking my head because I had plenty doubts, tons of doubts. You know what doubts did I have? Man, every time somebody showed a check on Instagram or Facebook saying, hey, you know what, I closed 50, a $5,000 check, I would always question myself, man, am I smart enough to do this? What are they doing that I'm not doing? So it was always comparing. And then I learned this quote, and it was, comparison is the thief of joy. Once I understood that quote, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to let me compare myself to someone else steal my joy. Only thing I have to do is reward them, applaud them for them getting their first deal or their next deal. Let me work even harder to try and get mine. So, man, there was so many doubts that I had. It's too many. So you guys that are out there listening and you going through that phase of doubt, and you just got to have that belief and know, I'm a strong believer in prayer. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do my praying and meditation that sets my day frame for the day. And I'd see if I don't do that, man, I'm completely off. So just find some time, guys, to set aside that alone time with you and yourself.
I think one of the biggest fears that people face, just from talking with people, from interviews and whatnot, it seems a common fear or concern or a doubt that most people had is like imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? Feeling that they're worthy to be on the phone with a person who owns such and such property, or this amount of properties and whatnot. Did you ever deal with that imposter syndrome?
Oh, yeah. I definitely did that. Even when me and my partner was starting our Deal Finders Club, it was like, who am I to sit here and try and teach somebody? I still face that after, I've done hundreds of deals, closed many a transactions, have a real estate portfolio, all of this kind of stuff. But still, you're like, am I really the person that need to be teaching someone this? And then I had to get over that, and I had to overcome that and say, you know what? Yeah, you are qualified to do it. You're qualified to do it, and you just need to get out there and do it and get out of your own way.
I don't want to belabor this too much, but I mean, that's beautiful. And you seem, Marcus, to have a beautiful way of simplifying really complex stuff. And so I don't want to gloss over that. I want to dig in a little bit more. Okay. So when you were in that zone, and you said you realized, so that means at some point you didn't realize. Can you recall where you were at mentally, or was it a book, or was it a mentor, or what was it that shook you out of that I'm not good enough to now? And I know you said it, it comes in waves. There's still times, but I would dare to say you're way more confident now than you were then. Can you recall back to like maybe a single instance that happened that gave you that courage to just push through and continue to say, you know what, I am worth it?
You know what? It wasn't me, man. It was my wife.
Wow.
She spent a lot of time with me because I went through a lot, as a youngster, and a lot of those things that happened back then, it still leaves residue no matter how old you get. And that's why I would always spend time in prayers, because, a lot of that residue, transferred over. So like I said earlier, my dad, he was an immigrant from Panama, and his whole thing was he would always tell me and my brother, this is the land of opportunity. There's so much opportunity here. Why are you not taking advantage of this opportunity? Are you dumb or something? Right. So I would constantly hear that. Are you dumb or something? Are you dumb or something? And he wasn't saying it really to belittle me, but the way I received it was, man, I must be dumb.
Sure.
If I'm not seeing this opportunity. And I went and got bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and everything like that. And that imposter syndrome still come up sometimes and be like, man, I don't know if you can do this. You may not be smart enough to do this. So now I'm starting to transition over into larger multifamilies, and it still comes up. And I have to battle that, and I have to fight against that to say, you know what, you've overcome so much, you accomplished so much. Just start appreciating what you accomplished and now work towards the next goal. So if it was one singular incident, I really can't say, but it just took a lot of help from my wife coaching me along the way. So
man, that's so powerful. And I could, not only having it come from, a mentor or a coach, to have it come from your spouse, that's powerful. Because I'm sure those of you, especially those of you who don't have supportive spouses, I mean, imagine not only your spouse being supportive, but them coaching you, them helping you overcome mental hurdles that you're at. Because, man, it's real easy to see the challenges in other people, especially people you're close to, but it's hard to see the challenges in yourself. And if you're open enough and you display yourself as open enough to being okay with receiving feedback or criticism, then that's powerful. And so that's awesome. So shout out to your wife, Miss Maloney, for doing that. Man, that's good. Well, okay, let's turn the page. Let's talk virtual, because you're an expert. This is your field. Tanner and I, our market is in Florida. You don't know this, but we wholesale land only in Florida. I live in Alaska. Tanner lives in Oklahoma. And so we had to essentially do it virtually. And when I first got started, I honestly thought everyone was doing it virtually. Like it just made sense that, of course, if you're going to do real estate investing in this wholesale strategy, you can do it anywhere. You can, blah, blah, blah. But then I started, once I got in, I'm like, oh no, you need to pick a market. And then once I really got in, I'm like, man, it is like, I started looking at people that lived in their market thinking, gosh, you're so lucky. Like you can just drive over to the property and this and that. And I've been pulling my hair out of my head. But then as I really progressed throughout my virtual wholesaling career, I realized that, oh my God, I have the freedom. I can do this business anywhere. My wife's active duty military, so we're about to move from Alaska to another state. My business isn't going to stop. It's not going to hurt me at all. So how did you get into virtual wholesaling? Because you live in one of the best areas right now for real estate.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to my wife again. I have to give her kudos for that. So was doing deals here in the Phoenix market, working, as you guys know, Phoenix is like the hub, is real estate central, wholesale central, fix and flip central, so all of those guys, Jamil, Pace, Justin Colby, all of those guys, I've done deals, with the majority of them. So one day, it was like the market was just so difficult. And it was like the cost that I was spending per lead just jumped astronomically, right? And then I would always post on social media. And that's what I always tell people is, even if you haven't done a deal, just let people know, hey, I'm transitioning from one career over to this next career, follow my journey. I'm always a follow my journey guy, right?
Absolutely.
So I was posting that, and my wife's best friend actually reached out to her and was like, hey, you know what? My mom, she passed away a couple of years ago, and I've been using the house, just been letting somebody live there. A friend of hers lived there, but I want to sell it. Do you think your husband can help me? And at first I was skeptical. I was like, man, if this deal goes south, my wife's best friend, I don't know how this is, I'm starting to get all of these negative thoughts, right? So I said, you know what the hell? Let's try it. And I told her, I was transparent up front. I said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try and find you a buyer. What's your net number that you want to take away with? She gave me that net number. I said, okay, well, let me go out here and let me try and find you a buyer. So out networking, had somebody to take pictures, everything like that. And lo and behold, I networked with another guy that did dispositions. He was like, hey man, you know what? Let's connect. I think I can help you move this deal and let's work on it. We was able to get that deal done, and I made like 18 grand on that one deal. I was
Wow.
like, you know what? If I could do it with that one, I can do this, you know, quite often. And the main thing was just making sure I had communication with somebody in that market. And
Right.
then that's what I started doing. So being here in Phoenix, I started doing deals in Chicago. I built up a network in Chicago of realtors, contractors, boots on the ground, other wholesalers that I started working with. And I just leaned into that market really, really heavy. And we just started doing tons of deals there. And then I had an epiphany, right? I said, you know what, instead of me wholesaling a lot of these deals, why don't I try? Because I'm always trying to challenge myself. I said, why don't you try and fix and flip one of these deals from Phoenix? See if you can do it. Right.
Nice.
So,
was your wife supportive about this decision, or did she not know?
You know what? She was supportive. She was like, go ahead, do it, try it.
That's
Let's
awesome.
see what happens. Right. So I had a money partner in Memphis. So just to give the ground, the foundation, I'm in Phoenix. My acquisition guy is in Houston, Texas. My disposition guy is in Orlando, Florida. My money guy was in Memphis, Tennessee. So I had to put all of this together, right, and make it all fit and mold. And I flew out there one time just to walk the property. And let me go back. Actually, my wife was a part of this deal because this was actually during COVID, and I put a challenge out to my students and to my YouTube channel. I said, I am going to help my wife close a deal before, within 3 months. And we did a text campaign. I show her how to do a text campaign. And then lo and behold, we got a call. This lady, mom passed away, yada, 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 the whole story, right? So had boots on the ground, go and take a look at the property, looked at it. The property was solid. One of the guys that I used to go to church with, he was a contractor in that market, said, go over there, tell me what the scope of work is going to be, how much it's going to cost. Once you get that, then that's going to help me determine if I'm going to fly there and take a look at it. So this is my first one. Flew there, took a look at it. I was like, man, you know what? We're getting this. We got the property for 90. The ARV was like 280. And he said he could do the rehab for about 65, 70. It's like, oh, you know what? This is a no-brainer. Let's do this all day. So I called the money partner, and he was like, I said, look, here's the pictures. Here's my pro forma and scope of work and everything like that. And I think we can get this property done, in a matter of 4 to 5 months. He agreed, gave the green light. No money out of pocket, guys. Absolutely not a dime out of pocket. He furnished the acquisition costs and all of the rehab. So at the end of the day, we walked away with $90,000 on a project, and we didn't have to put any of our own money into that deal.
That's incredible.
So yeah, once I understood, okay, wow, you know what? I can virtually fix and flip. So then I started building a model around that. We already had the foundation in place. I just needed to make sure I had quality boots on the ground. So I started working with different realtors, and I said, hey, you know what? If you walk this property and I take it down, you got two options. I can pass the lead over to you if we don't buy it, so you can get a listing agreement. So that's one way to get paid. Two is, if I do take it down, you manage the rehab, I'll give you more than the standard 3% commission on the job. So that's two ways to get paid. And then the third was, if I just traditionally wholesale a deal, I'll give you a portion of the wholesale fee. So that gave them umph to get out there, walk properties, look at deals and everything like that for us. So we built a team with one of the most successful realtors and brokerages in the Chicagoland market, and just been running deals with them ever since.
Oh my goodness. Now, okay. So for those who are either considering getting into virtual, or maybe just got started, maybe they're struggling a little bit, what do you say is one of the most important things to consider when choosing to build your business virtually?
Structure, having that system in place. That's most important. You got to have the system and you have to have the team, and you have to make sure that that team respects the system that you built.
What if
Because
it's just for, sorry to interrupt, man.
Mhm.
What if it's just for wholesaling though, and not fix and flipping? What if, as a
Same
wholesaler
thing.
before? Okay.
Same thing, even with wholesaling. So if I'm doing a deal, in another market, let's just say if I'm doing a deal in Florida, okay, I'm gonna build my system around, okay, how am I gonna do my marketing? Who's gonna do the inbound or outbound, take the inbound or outbound leads? Then who am I gonna have to walk that property, or what system am I gonna have in order to get pictures? And how am I gonna pull comps? And then how am I going to build that buyers list? So it's building that system. Once you build that system, then you have each component that's in that system. If it's a realtor, if it's an acquisition manager, if it's boots on the ground, whoever it is, they have to honor that system, because your metrics can only dictate what the people are doing within that system.
Right.
So if you know, hey, you know what, per out of, every 80th lead is a deal, you have to make sure that each person on your team understands that these are the metrics that we go by. And if that metric gets skewed, it's either a person problem or it's a system problem. And I know my system, so it's not a system. So I just have to identify where the leakage is on the team, what person it is, and either remove them from the team or have that tough conversation or put somebody else in that spot.
Got you. Do you recommend, so back to the, wholesalers getting started, maybe they don't have a lot of money and they're hearing you say this and they're like, that's great, Marcus, but I don't have a lot of money to invest in a team. Like, I don't even know how to train people and how to do all this. Like, where do I get started?
Man, you get started if you're virtual, so is for virtual getting started, or if it's just local getting started?
Virtual. I want to do it virtually. I live in BFE, Montana.
Okay. If it's virtual, one of the things you want to find out is, do they have a RIA in that market, a Real Estate Investors Association? If they do they have virtual events? Okay, because you want to be able to network as much as possible, because that's how you're going to build your team. You're going to know you don't know anybody in BF Montana, so you got to get to know somebody in BF Montana. So where do you do that? You want to be a part of all the networking events virtually. So if it's, the local RIA, if it's meetup groups that's local, or if it's Facebook groups to that market, you want to be in there. You want to ask questions. You want to respond to questions. You want to make yourself known to that community, even though you're from Alaska. Hey, you know what? I'm from Alaska. I'm looking at possibly doing deals, in BF Montana. What do I need to do? What do I need to look out for? Who are the real players in the market? Who should I talk to? Who should I get connected with? And you just start building your network like that.
Perfect. Okay, so say I'm in BF Montana, and the market that I pick is Tucson for some random reason.
Yep.
I pick Tucson, and I look it up, and I hear Marcus's advice. I look it up. I don't see any virtual meetups. There's a Facebook group, sure, but there's like 1 billion people in there. Like, how am I going to get noticed? What is your insight to that person who's coming to you, Marcus, as a coaching student, saying, "Hey, help! What do I do?"
Okay, so now if you speaking specifically Tucson, I got a cheat code for that. I'm with one of the largest RIAs in the country, as RIA, which is Arizona, and we cover the whole state. So I know everything that's going on in the state of Arizona. But let's just use a different city or state or something like that.
Yeah, let's go with Austin, Texas.
Okay, Austin, Texas. I don't know anything about Austin, Texas. The only thing I know is hook 'em horns,
Hey,
right? So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to start contacting all of the realtors. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the MLS, or I'm going to go on Zillow or Redfin, and I'm going to look at all of the properties that was recently fixed and flipped. How am I going to know that they were fixed and flips? Well, you can look at the finishes, the finish work and everything like that. If you scroll all the way down at the bottom, it will say who's the realtor, that's who's the seller's agent. you can contact that seller's agent and say, hey, you know what? It looked like this property at 123 Main Street was a fix and flip. You're representing the seller, correct? Now, your seller, does he do, quite a few deals, in what city did we say?
Austin.
Okay. Do he do a lot of transactions in Austin? If so, I would love to be in touch with him because I'm a wholesaler from another market. We're doing some innovative marketing strategies there in Austin, and I would love to be able to pass some deals off to him. And guess what? That'll help you also, because if you get the deal, fix and flip it, you're going to be the listing agent because you put me in contact with that person. That's something that we can do. No agent is going to turn that down because they want another lead flow. And you can do that with every property that you see that was recently fixed and flipped. And now you're starting to build that network.
I love what you're saying, because I can speak personally, because when I first started wholesaling, or I guess I should say when I started doing virtual, my market was Indianapolis. No clue what I was doing, and I utilized the two strategies that you spoke on. And so I can speak on that. What Marcus is saying is super effective, because the two ways that I got my first deal virtually within the first month of doing it was connecting on Facebook groups and reaching out to local agents of agents that sold flips. And so I know exactly what Marcus is saying is it 100% works. So if you're wondering what's the first few action steps you should take in a virtual market, do exactly what Marcus is saying. And I promise you it's going to work.
Yep.
I can't promise you it'll take a month, maybe a little longer, but it works.
And I'm gonna give you a third, right? So we talked about Facebook groups, social media, things like that. And we talked about local meetups. That was 2. 3, we talked about agents. Number 4 is contact the title companies. The title companies, their main perspective is to close transactions. So they want the volume of transactions. So if you contact the title company, this was one of the things that I did when I first got started, contacted the title company and said, hey, you know what? This is what I'm looking at doing. First of all, are you an investor-friendly title company? And they said, well, what do you mean by that? Do you work with fix and flippers? Do you do assignment transactions? Do you do double closes? Things like that. If they say yes, then my next question is, okay, do you have a marketing department? Because I would like to speak to who's over that marketing department. And the reason why I'm doing that is because they will be able to pull a list of all of the recent cash transactions, and they will be able to provide that list to you for free. Yes, I know there's tools out there like PropStream and batch leads and everything like that. But if you have little to no money, that's what I would suggest. Contact the title companies. They'll provide that list for you.
Man, that's gold. Guys, look, so here's the deal. Marcus, you mentioned it earlier, DFC, Deal Finders Club. And guys, I don't want to turn this into a pitch fest, and I know Marcus doesn't want that either, but I have to say, clearly Marcus knows his stuff. He does. And he's an above board wholesale. You've heard him mention when you're calling out to people, and he didn't even make note of it. He just said it in his words. So that's how you can tell it's innately in him. He mentioned wholesale. I'm a wholesaler and blah, blah, blah. Like, he didn't run from it. He didn't say, I'm looking for my next flip, which is fine. If you truly really believe that, and you really are, and you've got access to private money, you could say stuff like that. But it's just so freeing being honest. And so I know for a fact that in the Deal Finders Club, it's full, like it's not an ongoing lifelong thing like we are, like we're a part of an Astro. And so, guys, if you're looking to learn more about virtual wholesaling and virtual fix and flipping, like you're ready to get to that next level, reach out to Marcus. Marcus, how can people learn more about Deal Finders Club?
They can go to azdfc.com. That's AZ for Arizona and DFC, dealfindersclub.com. And you know what? It's not just me. Actually, for a little bit of money, you're going to get 3 mentors. You're going to get me, who's been doing this for a decade, my partner, Mike, who's over the largest RIA in the country, Azria. And then we have Brandon Simmons. Not sure if you guys remember Sean Terry.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Terry, Brandon Simmons was the fulfillment guy of all of Sean Terry's. Right. So he did all of his acquisitions. So Brandon Simmons will be working with us also. We just finished a 2-day workshop, and we go over from nuts to bolts, from accountability and mindset, starting all the way to, looking at your HUD, making sure that there is no mix-ups on your HUD, and you know how much you're going to get paid at the closing table. So do all of that, man. And again, no pitching here. If you want to go check it out, you can go to azdfc.com. We would love to have you. You know what? If you want some free content, you can just go to my website, marcusemaloney.com. You can get 15-minute free consultation with me. Yes, just like you're listening, you could talk to me personally. It's not a rep or anyone else. As you can see, I love talking this stuff. So a lot of times that 15 minutes turns into 45 minutes. And then I have to cut myself off and say, no, honor your agreement. But yeah, just go to marcusemaloney.com. Everything that your listener needs is right there.
Absolutely. Well, guys, Marcus E as in echo, marcusemaloney.com, AZDFC. Guys, check them out. We're going to have all this stuff in the links and the show notes and the whatever description and all that stuff. So you will definitely be able to just scroll up or down and click on something to get access to Marcus really quickly. Marcus, how can people find you and where are you doing deals at? How can people get in touch with you?
Man, all over. You got Instagram, MRCS Maloney, Facebook, MRCS Maloney, my YouTube channel, MRCS Maloney. I go live on Saturdays on YouTube. My partner, Mike, he go lives on Instagram every day at 12 o'clock. And we're just answering questions. We're not selling anything. We're just answering questions. So you can look up Mike Del Preet on Instagram. And you'll see him. He have a We Heart Houses hat on, and just been doing deals, man. That's it.
That's incredible. Well, Marcus, I know you've got to run, man. You're a super busy guy, and we're approaching that hard out time. So, man, my brother, thank you so much for coming to the Wholesale Elite podcast, for joining the family, for pouring into us. And guys, I just hope that you reciprocate, the good that Marcus has done, and maybe go find some of his content and share it. Look into it. Go on his YouTube and give him some likes and subscribe or make a comment. Just go put good karma into the world, and your business will be blessed. I promise that's how it works. And so, Marcus, bro, thank you so much for all your time, for all you shared. We're super grateful for you, man.
Thank you, guys, man. Much success. I'll be praying for you guys, that you guys accelerate, the rest of the year, and that you guys continue to do big things. I'll be watching you guys.
Amen. Likewise. Amen. Guys, we want you to be right there where Marcus is, in that little square on the screen, or that voice in your ear. We want to hear your story. So go out there, hustle, get it done. And then we'll have you on the next episode of the Wholesale Elite podcast. Until then, peace.
Thanks, guys.
What up, Elite fan? That's a wrap for today's episode. But look, if you got value out of the show today, do us a huge favor and give us a review, or give us a like, or subscribe. Do all the things to help us get the word out there. And look, we want to see you on the next show. So get out there and crush it, make it happen. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.